Thank you for joining us on The Burning Question. I'm Niranjan. It's 9 p.m. this Sunday evening. The presidential race has begun and the polling will begin in about 12 hours from now. And the presidential race this time around has turned out to be a rather unpleasant exercise, with comments against the tribal roots of the NDA's presidential candidate, even as support for Droupadi Murmu has increased due to the course of the process. Now, the conversation brought about opinions, perspectives and biases that represent the dichotomies of Indian democracies and the politics of representation. Here's how it's turning out to be in the last few hours of the presidential race. It's Droupadi Murmu versus Yashwant Sinha. Droupadi Murmu could be the president by this time tomorrow. But here's why the opposition that backs Yashwant Sinha may be losing the plot.
An election process one assumes to be relatively respectful with regards to political statements and sloganeering proved an arguably disappointing process this time around, as leaders of the opposition indulged in a shameful war of words.
But she represents a very evil philosophy of India. So we should not mistake Droupadi, we should not make Droupadi Murmu ji as a symbol of Adivasi.
हम लोगों को राष्ट्रपति भवन में कोई मूर्ति तो नहीं चाहिए, आप समझ रहे हैं, हम लोग राष्ट्रपति का चुनाव.
While one assumed the comments would be reserved to political ideologies, what the BJP labelled as bias against tribals and derogatory remarks over cultural epics quickly became a part of the political discourse. The NDA's presidential candidate's credibility was questioned over her publicity as opposed to her achievements over the years. Even as Droupadi Murmu gathered support across the political space, with parties outside NDA announcing their support, approval for the opposition's candidate seemed to wane horribly day by day. The bias against Murmu for the presidential elections further sheds light on the dichotomies of representative politics in the country.
द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी का काफ़ी लंबा सार्वजनिक जीवन रहा है. काउंसलर से एमएलए, मंत्री राज्य में, फिर जाकर वो राज्यपाल बने. बहुत पीड़ा और सेवा के साथ जनता के बीच रही हैं. दूसरी बात, आदिवासी समाज से हैं और इस प्रकार की शब्दावली, मूर्ति शब्द का प्रयोग करके तेजस्वी यादव जी को गंभीर रूप से सोचना पड़ेगा कि क्या वो आदिवासी समाज की निंदा और कहीं ना कहीं अपमान नहीं कर रहे हैं. एक महिला का तो कर ही रहे हैं.
ये सामंती अत्याचारी लोग हैं जो सहन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं इस बात को कि कोई गरीब, दलित, वंचित, हाशिए का व्यक्ति संविधान के सर्वोच्च पद पे बैठेगा. हम आग्रह करेंगे, अनुरोध करेंगे तेजस्वी जी से कि आप युवा हैं, सामाजिक न्याय के नाम पे राजनीति करते हैं, तो अपने इस बयान को वापस लें, क्षमा मांगे और स्वागत करें.
Even so, it could arguably be considered a significant addition in the presidential elections if Murmu wins and takes up the title of the first citizen of the country. It may well serve as an enabler to the positive aspects of representation within India at the highest office. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Joining us on The Morning Question this evening, Tuhin Sinha of the BJP, Manish Bariyar of the JDU, Kovai Satyan of the AIADMK, Professor Manojit Mandal of the TMC, Dr. Suman C. Raman, political analyst, leans towards the opposition, Vikraman, spokesman of the VCK, which is an ally of the DMK. Okay, so why is Manojit Mandal, why is the opposition not backing Murmu? Why is it choosing to calling her names? I mean, the RJD has just called her a statue today. I think it's, when you're losing, you sort of lose the plot. Manojit Mandal, can you explain to everyone watching the show why she was called a statue? And then I'll get Tuhin Sinha to come in.
So, you see, I can't speak on behalf of the RJD. I can talk about my party stand, what my Supreme Leader Mamata Banerjee has maintained, and General Secretary of the party, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee, has maintained. I can't speak on behalf of the RJD, certainly.
Okay. Can I get your comments on what the RJD said, that she could be a statue in the presidential race?
Again, these are all surmises that I can't really make on a candidate. I mean, tomorrow we are having the election. There would be a decent contest, I believe. I think we are waiting for that. I mean, what the RJD is saying, maybe they have their own experiences. But as a layman, as a person who belongs to, this is my personal opinion, who belongs to the Dalit community, myself, I can tell you for certainty that the last 5 years, despite we having a Dalit Prime Minister, President, the maximum number of atrocities were actually done against the Dalit. That's there for all of you to see.
Right.
Whether in the BJP ruled states or anywhere in the country, you can probably say. So again, this is my personal opinion. I mean, of myself belonging to a particular community.
Right.
BJP has done nothing for the cause of the Dalit, you know.
So what's your point?
Again, I repeat, despite the fact that we do have a Dalit president, the point is that whether these particular candidate,
are you trying to say she's an ornamental?
She can deliver or not, that will be decided later on.
Okay, I'll let Tohin Sura respond to that.
I mean, many people are arguing that despite just one point, despite coming from Odisha, when the tribals were being displaced by a particular company, she did not really back them. She was a minister at that point of time. These are for records. I mean, these are there for all of you to know that she did not really go extra mile to do anything for the displaced tribals in Odisha when she remained a minister in that part of the country. So again, I repeat, what she will do as a president of the country, if at all she is elected after tomorrow, that will be decided later on, that we can witness only later.
Tohin Sura responding to the Trinamool Congress, as a journalist, I can tell you, going by the numbers on Murmu's side, she's going to win the race. Going by the numbers. Tohin Sinha, to the comments made by the Trinamool Congress, can I have your response, please?
Niranjan, today the country is on the cusp of history, when in the next 24 hours we will have a first tribal president and a tribal lady president. But look at the comments some of the opposition, while Manojit Mandal has been rather, well behaved, look at the comments some of the opposition leaders have made, whether it is Dr. Ajay Kumar, who has attributed an evil philosophy to her, whether it is Tejasvi Yadav, who calls her a statue. I'm sorry, but the only person who came close to being a statue was Rabri Devi, because I have seen what she has done to Bihar between 1997 and 2005. But look, the kind of statements which these people have been making, underestimating the potential of Droupadi Murmu ji purely because she comes from a humble background, is very shameful. Please understand that she's a first generation politician who has come up the hard way from being a corporator to an MLA to being adjudged the best MLA, to being a minister in the Orissa government, to being a governor, and throughout she has had an immaculate and a spotless career. So what better, who better to make her the president of the country? By underestimating her, Manojit Mandal is simply saying that, somebody from that humble background cannot be up to the mark. But look at the credentials of the other side. Yashwant Sinha is a man of compromised ideology. By disowning our, the BJP stand on the abrogation of Article 370 as well as CAA, the party which he had belonged to till about a couple of years ago, he has shown that he is a man of compromised ideology. So Droupadi Murmu ji's overwhelming win is ensured. But even today, the BJP president, honorable BJP president, has appealed to everybody else that at least for the vice president, we have again chosen a man, a first generation politician, professional with impeccable record. At least support him and show some consensus, which will go a long way in improving the politics, the political narrative of the country, which they opposition should ideally consider.
Okay, the TMC has its hand up. Okay, I'll let you respond. Yeah, okay, respond, and I'll get in the rest. Go ahead, Monuji.
You cannot. This is amazing. When Mr. Sinha was in BJP, especially in the Bajpayee's regime, he was one of the most important persons in the cabinet. Now because he is out of BJP, because BJP has deviated from the kind of BJP that TMC also supported in 2000, led by Bajpayee and Mr. Advani. Now he has deviated from that BJP. Now he has become a compromised ideology. You people have compromised.
Can I
not
ask
just
you a
the
question,
ideologically, but you are compromising the ethos of this country, the heritage of this country, the strong legacy of this country that we have been bearing for hundreds of years. Not Mr. Sinha. Look at Mr. Sinha's credentials. In fact, he did tremendous works for the tribals as a finance minister of Bajpayee government way back in 2000.
Can I ask you a question?
That's there. I mean, look at the scheme that he, at that point of time delivered. Yes, please. Go ahead.
See, he may lose the election tomorrow, and that's common knowledge. Only because the only reason I'm saying this is because YSRCP, BJD, AIDMK, and a whole lot of other political Shiv Sena, both factions of Shiv Sena, they're going to vote for her, and she will win the election. But my question to you is, Yashwant Sinha, do you know who the Samajwadi Party is supporting? And do you know what Yashwant Sinha called Mulayam Yadav a few years back? He called Mulayam Singh Yadav.
You want to go back to the history?
Yes. Let's talk about that. I think it's okay to talk about.
You want to go back to the history? Then
you can debate.
Look at the current Prime Minister.
Right.
Who made him? Who made this current Prime Minister? Mr. L.K. Advani.
The people of India.
Anywhere around?
The people
of
India.
Last 7-8 years?
The people of India.
No, nobody even knew him before he was. Nobody even knew Mr. Modi before he was assisting Advani in that very famous Rath Yatra of 90s. Okay?
But they chose him to power.
Nobody knew him. It's Mr. Advani and Mr. Bajpayee who brought him to the fore. Now where is Mr. Advani?
What will fail?
That's what you are trying to say.
No, I'm only asking. Today you're saying. Okay.
I mean, this is the failing of.
No. Let me get
history. I also narrated facts.
No, you did, and I appreciate you for that. It's okay. We're having a
About the
fact
Prime Minister and his rise.
No, you're right. But the fact remains that the people of India knew who their prime ministerial candidate is, and they voted him to power 2 successful terms. That's not the point tonight. The point is the kind of name calling, Manish Bariyar, the kind of name calling that's happened in the last few days. Today, Tejasvi Yadav calls her a statue in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Statue. And a few days back, you had a Congress representative call her a representative, a face who represents evil philosophy. And tomorrow, when the results come in, and we know it's only going to go one way based on the stands that the parties have taken. What's the message that's going out to the opposition? Manish Bariyar, and then I'll get in Sumansi Raman.
Yeah, Niranjan, I think it's very unfortunate that such name calling has been happening for the highest, the person standing for the highest office, either way. So I didn't like that narrative of really name calling. I think the president of the country is the first person of the country, and whoever wins the race, tomorrow, the person is going to be the first person of the country, and we have to ensure that the respect which that highest post deserves, that remains. It's not about a person, it's about the post. So all those remarks were in pretty bad taste. Having said that, I think I would say that the opposition should have used better words, and I would support Tuhin when he said that in Bihar, in fact, there was a time when Rabri Devi was she was a rubber stamp, and almost like the same which we are talking about, a statue. In fact, even his sister, who is a Rajya Sabha member, with all due respect, we have never heard him, because Tejasvi Yadav was talking about the specific point of that we have never heard her speaking, but I have never heard Misa Bharti speaking in Rajya Sabha as such, and she's not known to be a speaker as such. And we know so many politicians, they are not very great in terms of speech, but they are pretty good as far as their work is concerned. And speaking or doing a press conference cannot be a criteria for a person to be in the highest office. Her credentials are absolutely brilliant. And I would say so is, the opposition candidate. I think he has done himself a great favor by being what he is, and that is why he has been nominated by opposition. People who are either supporting or opposing should have really talked about more in terms of the qualities in a person which should be there in a president. And one of the things which I really like about the NDA candidate is that her dignity and the way she has carried herself in the entire campaign. Vis-a-vis, I would say that maybe I would, I didn't really, personally, I would say like the fact that the opposition candidate has been quite aggressive, which is very unbecoming of a presidential candidate.
Yeah, I mean, how do you justify comments that he's sort of made? Sumant, you're very active on social media. How do you, when tomorrow, let's say like if my miracle, right? It's a miracle. I mean, if it's not going to happen, but if he does become the president tomorrow by miracle, Yashwant Sinha, how will he have to justify the kind of comments that he's made on social media? Sumant, you're very active on social media.
Niranjan, first of all, it's not going to happen. I mean, he's not going to win. I think the whole world knows that he's not going to win. And it's a hypothetical question of what he would do if he won and how would he handle social media. The point is, I don't think that there is any doubt that the NDA candidate is going to have a comfortable victory. And let's face it, she does represent the aspirations of the large numbers of the tribal population of our country, and therefore she is going to be our president. But at the same time, while I strongly disagree with the language which has been used by Tejasvi Yadav or Ajay Kumar or anyone else, I think that the basic point that they're getting at is one of the reasons she has been chosen is that she's unlikely to rock the boat. And so, for instance, Mr. Kovind, while conducting himself with a great deal of dignity as president, did not, exactly rock the boat on any issues. There was no controversy, and he by and large went with the government view on almost everything. So, therefore, the NDA and the present dispensation.
I'm barging in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Tell me a president who has really rocked
the boat.
Tell me a president who has really gone against or rocked the boat. I think
It is not about rocking the boat.
Why do you expect? I would rather say that a president should be able to go as per the Constitution of India, and that kind of opportunity did arise.
Who have refused to sign imposition of president's rule in states, who have told the government to reconsider controversial bills. All of that, we all know that there have
absolutely
been
and so has Mr. Kovind in many of the cases. He has returned bills. So I would say even Mr. Kovind has returned a couple of bills. I don't think that should be the criteria for that.
No, I'm not talking about state bills. I'm talking about bills which were sent to him by the center, which have been returned to Parliament for reconsideration.
Is it a criteria? My point is that if the president agrees with all the bills and they are in the national interest, why on earth he should really
that's exactly the point. The president will agree with all the bills.
My point was something else.
You're basically saying the same thing that I am.
My point was reducing this contest.
That's not what the president is there for.
My point was that reducing this contest to a binary. Why are we talking, Mrs. Murmu only talking in terms of being an Adivasi and a woman?
I'm sorry, I don't know where it says that the president is merely there to agree with whatever the government says.
My objection has been, all along my objection has been reducing Mrs. Murmu to a binary. Because she is a woman, because she is an Adivasi, she is being supported. I don't think so. Irrespective of she is being a woman or an Adivasi, She is a brilliant candidate. She has successfully, in fact, done her stint as a governor in Jharkhand. So why do we really reduce her to a binary?
Everyone knows that they are being elevated.
Okay, let me ask you three questions. Let me ask you. Can we have some fun? Okay, guys. Okay. Gentlemen. Manish, 1 minute. Okay, let's have some fun. Suman, just take it easy. Okay, just let's have some fun. Okay, wait, Manish, wait. Let's have some fun, okay? Suman knows which way it's gonna go, right? He knows. He's a political analyst. Let me ask you 2 questions, okay? Can anybody on this panel please tell me what were Pratibha Patil's credentials to become the President of India?
I agree with you entirely. That's exactly the point I'm making.
Wait. Okay, that's
Pratibha
point number
Patil
1.
was selected because she would not rock the boat.
Point number 1. Okay, my second question. This is going to be a very interesting question. Can all of you tell me, okay, between the 6 of the panelists, how many of you want the role of the governor and the president? If I ask you personally, personal question, not political affiliations aside. Okay, let's just keep it to the governor. I don't want to keep it to the president. Governor's role to be abolished.
I don't agree.
Okay.
Because there was a purpose for a governor to be there. The fact that the governors in many states have become mere agents of the ruling party at the center is no reason for us to do away with governors. Instead, we should get the governors to do the roles that they are supposed to play. That is the right approach.
So who's got problem with Dankar?
This is like saying, many policemen are corrupt, so we can dissolve the police force. You can't do that.
Let me get in Kawai and Vikraman. Kawai, what's the problem with Jagdeep Dhankar becoming the vice presidential candidate? Do you have a problem with that, Kawai? I'll get Vikraman. I know. The TMC has a lot of issues. I know that Professor Manojit Mandal has a lot of issues. Can I get you in on that, Kawai?
Yeah. Let me make the opening remarks on the president. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Since independence, the political parties who are in the trade, every party talks about upliftment of marginalized section of the society, upliftment of downtrodden people of the society. It has remained only as a lip service, and it crops up only during the time of elections, and they were all treated like vote bank politics. So when there is an opportunity to demonstrate what the due diligence, what due recognition could be given, and if one political party is doing it, and seriously all the UPA and their allies are caught off guard. So rather than trying to look into themselves and what they have promised earlier, what they have told the stories earlier, they are trying to indulge in these kind of languages like evil philosophy. She is going to be a statue and whatnot. And yet we are about to create history. And she is going to become the first tribal president of India, the largest democracy in the world. And what the UP and its allies are doing is, there would be a beauty in a well-told lie. What is the beauty in a well-told lie? And the opposition candidate is saying that it is going to be a threat for constitution. And constitution is amended 103 times since independence. Who had done the maximum number of amendments so far? Everybody knows what it is.
Now, can I ask Vikraman? Kawai, you respond to Vikraman. Let me ask Vikraman. Vikraman. No, Kawai, wait.
Let me finish.
Okay, finish. Okay, go ahead.
Who had used Article 356 115 times since independence? And they are talking about protecting constitution. They are calling this Droupadi Murmu as a statue. And when there is a facts and figures in front of them,
how they have handled the role of president, how they have handled the powers of president, what they have done to the constitution, and the entire nation, the question lies is, when there is an opportunity to give the due recognition for the downtrodden and marginalized section of the society, and why the entire UP and ally are trying to blame something else. Why don't they walk the talk?
Okay, let me get Vikraman to respond to that. Vikraman, what's your problem with Droupadi Murmu?
See, Droupadi Murmu cannot be of any use.
Acha.
She cannot be of any use, except for she can only be a rubber stamp because she cannot talk for her own community.
What was
she had
Pratibha
never
Patil?
spoken. In 2006, she had never opened her mouth when her own.
You watch your words. Yeah,
attacked
Vikraman,
with
just
police.
watch your words a little bit. Watch your words a little bit. Let me caution you. Just watch your words a little bit. Take a step back. Take a step back. Vikraman, take a step back. Yeah, okay, take a step back.
In the next 24
I have
hours,
not
she's
even
certain
spoken.
in the last 3
No, take a
months,
step back.
in the
Because
last
I'm
I have not
cautioning you.
even spoken for 10-15 seconds. You are interrupting me, and somebody else is also interrupting me. Some gentleman from the panel is also interrupting me. Is this democracy?
I just found it a little offensive.
Behave yourself, because in the last 3 weeks, she has conducted herself in an exemplary manner, unlike your candidate.
Let me finish my statement. See, she has not opened her mouth in protest when Adivasi people were targeted for one particular company, one particular corporate company in 2006.
Which corporate? Be specific. Which one?
I do not want to name the corporate company's name.
Please, let's have a factual debate. Come on.
Okay, it was Tata Company in 2006 when there was a uprising against the company's acquisition of land by Adivasi community and especially the Santal tribes in Odisha. In Odisha. Yes, she did not open her mouth in 2006. She had been minister for 4 years.
Tuin is coming in.
And wait, I did not finish it. So that is the status of Droupadi Murmu.
Allegations, most of these protests which he is referring to in 2006 are manufactured protests by communists. Can I ask you one simple question? How many times has Dr. Manmohan Singh spoken against his party for 1984 riots? Has he once spoken against it? So please get
how many
facts
Muslims
in
from
order.
BJP protested against 2002
Droupadi Murmu has conducted herself in an exemplary manner, and have some respect when you speak about her.
See, I'm stating the facts.
That is settled by the Supreme Court.
Tribal uprising.
That has been settled by the Honorable Supreme Court. The BJP had, in fact, the BJP government of Narendra Modi had, in fact,
it was an uprising by our own Adivasis.
All your candidates
marginalized community people. Do not insult them. Do not insult them.
All of that has been settled.
Do not insult them, please. Do not insult them, please. And
you are the one
Murmu is just going to be a lip service for the government.
Going to be honorable president tomorrow.
I'm not insulting her. I'm saying had she spoken against some atrocities against
have you seen her performance as governor of Jharkhand between 2015 to 2021? She was a completely hands-on governor.
Okay, let me ask because we're asking trick questions on the show. Okay, Vikraman.
Google searches.
I'm going to ask him a trick question. Vikraman, yes, what's your view, buddy? What's your view on the question seeking to know which is the lower caste in Tamil Nadu's Periyar University?
That is highly condemnable, and the government is going to take action. Severe action has been taken, and the Periyar University is not run by Periyar Dravadar Kadagam as you all think. It is just the name because Periyar had given some land. And Periyar University has been intruded by some RSS fanatics, and that will be taken care of. Very soon it will be taken care of.
What do you mean?
It is highly condemnable.
He's laughing. Sumansi Raman is laughing because he knows the DMK means it's going to take over.
There is nothing to laugh about.
No, I'm just asking a question. I just asked a trick question. That's why I called it a trick question. Yes, Suman.
See, the vice chancellors are appointed by the governor, who is just acting like the party's spokesperson, the BJP spokesperson. The governor, Mr. R.N. Ravi from Tamil Nadu, is acting like a BJP spokesperson. There was not even an invitation to the higher education minister for Madurai University's convocation program. And the governor is acting like one BJP spokesperson.
Let me get in Kawai. Kawai wants to say something. Kawai and
you're on a different debate.
Yeah, Tuin and Kawai.
Let me tell you, since he has mentioned
the comments.
Let me
Yeah,
he has
that
mentioned
was
about
a
the role
different
of the
debate.
burner.
Until Mr. Niranjan has been asking about
Questions.
this Periyar University controversy,
Niranjan, can I
it
just
was a different
respond to
debate
it?
until he asked that question.
I asked a question. I asked one question. I just want to know what were your thoughts on that? Because I felt that in the context of this debate, it was interesting. You have a
We
problem with
condemned
Murmu.
it. We condemned it severely. Pardon me? We do not have a problem with Murmu. She comes from RSS background. That is her problem.
RSS background.
She is a caged parrot.
Cage?
She is a trained lion in circus
Vikraman,
lion.
please, for God's sake, one second. I'll advise you once again. You should watch your words, Vikraman. I'll advise you.
Stating the facts.
You just called her a caged parrot. These shows are recorded. Okay? You just called her a caged parrot. Okay?
That is our party stand.
Let me get Tuhin Sinha on that. Tuhin Sinha, controversial comment on the debate. He's calling her a caged parrot. I disapprove of that. I disapprove of that, and I think it's a very condemnable comment, Vikraman. It's really despicable. I'll let Tuhin Sinha respond to that.
Condemnable.
No, it is not condemnable.
No, it's extremely despicable. She could be the next president of India in about 12 hours.
It's the most pathetic, condemnable remark that anybody can make, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the person concerned is supporting Yashwant Sinha ji. Because if you look some of the words Yashwant Sinha has used in the recent
why don't you confront them? Why don't you confront them? Let me ask him. Tuhin Sinha, 1 minute. Wait. Tuhin, let me ask him. No, let me ask him. I'm going to ask Manojit Mandal. Manojit Mandal, 1 second. Manojit Mandal's party has put forth the candidature of Yashwant Sinha. Do you back what the DMK ally VCK has just said, Manojit, calling her a caged parrot?
No, you see, he has said what he had to. I mean, because still some of us are in campaigning mood. Might be he is also in the TV studios in campaigning mood. She is still not the president. She might be the president tomorrow.
She will be.
So let us not go whole hog into it. My contention is that, the party stand is that Mr. Sinha's candidature is illustrious. I do not need to reflect on this, what he has done when he was serving as the principal secretary of Bihar way back in 90s for the tribals, when he was the finance minister in the BJP-led government in 2000, by carving out a ministry for the northeastern states, when, mind you, number of tribals are there. And in comparison to that, perhaps some of my friends are trying to say that Miss Droupadi Murmu, with deepest regards to her, has not done what she should have. That's the simple thing my friends are trying to put forward. But my point is different. You are talking about empowering the Dalits in this country. Can some of us readily remember the name of the minister heading the social justice ministry at this point in time? Why, you have the executive powers, the Ministry of Social Justice Affairs. I mean, how many of us will readily remember his name? There lies the hypocrisy on the part of the BJP in doing something really for the Dalits. You will never find, Niranjan, you will never find a self-righteous, forthright Dalit or a tribal heading an important ministry. Look at the universities. You are talking about the universities in the country. Look at the central universities. How many of the vice chancellors are coming from the Dalit background? Look at the number of professors in the central universities belonging to SCs and STs. Will not even have the requisite vacancies fulfilled. So, I mean, let us not talk about all these things. Come to the reality. When it comes to the catering to the Dalit, their aspirations, their desires, nobody has, no political party has articulated them that they should have been. Forget about BJP, which is a party of the hypocrites.
No, I don't even want to go back and even reproduce or even vaguely mention the comments or responses of the Right Honourable Mr. Yashwant Sinha on this debate. I don't want to, Manojit. It's not right for us to do that.
Niranjan, our party fights for the marginalized. Our
which is your party? VCK. You're talking about
VCK
VCK
fights
team.
for the marginalized.
Right.
VCK fights
Right.
for the marginalized. VCK fights for the Dalit rights. VCK fights for the women rights. We all know all that. Our
Did
country, the whole country knows
okay,
that.
can I ask you something? One minute. Stay wait. All of you on the screen. I'm going to ask a trick question to Vikraman. Vikraman, did you say recently if Lord Krishna's youthful career was full of illicit intimacy?
Why is it a topic of discussion now?
I'm asking you because you spoke about being very respectful to everyone, and I thought it's the right question to ask you.
Is it a topic of debate now?
No. I asked you only because you said you respect everybody, the marginalized, every religion, every candidate, every person on planet Earth. I thought it's my rightful place to ask you that question, Vikraman.
If that is your question, I
Yes.
told Krishna's youthful life had been full of illicit relationship with gopis.
Okay, 1 minute.
as
1 minute.
written
You know,
by
if there was a
Dr.
blasphemy
B.R.
law, 1 minute.
Ambedkar.
Stop right
Dr.
there. Stop right there.
Why should I stop?
Sorry, I asked you oh my God, I regret asking you that question. I only wanted a yes or no answer, but you know what? If there was a blasphemy law in India, I think you'd be just held guilty for saying what you did. But I'll go back. But
then you should hold Mr. Ambedkar guilty.
No.
You should hold Dr. Ambedkar guilty. Will you? Will you do that?
Manish,
Will you hold Dr. Ambedkar guilty?
I'm sorry for asking you the question. I'm sorry for asking. No, Tuin is coming. No, I condemn what you've said. Tuin is coming. No, Tuin is coming. Tuin is coming. Tuin, extremely. I object to it. No, Vikraman, I object to it. Tuin is coming in. I object to it. Object. Tuin.
Niranjan is very surprised.
No. You just
reading it verbally. Niranjan.
If you have
Niranjan, I have maintained this public discourse begins with language, and language comes from your thoughts. The kind of language and the kind of thoughts your representative over here is exhibiting is shameful to say the least, and I'm not surprised. You have the Bengal CM who calls for jihad against the BJP. So they seem to have pretty much normalized indecent, pathetic language, and no wonder they would be backing Yashwant Sinha, who has equally endorsed such language, such derogatory language in the last couple of years.
Manojit responded to you.
I am repeating, it is better if you've not heard Droupadi Murmu ji too often, at least it is better than somebody using foul language which Yashwant Sinha ji has been doing.
Let Manojit respond to you. Yeah, Manojit.
No, first of all, about the jihad comment, Mamtadi herself clarified. Please don't stretch it further. The jihad should certainly not mean the kind of jihad that you are doing with the Kashmiri terrorists.
Has she apologized?
You are getting aligned with the Lashkar
apologized?
So don't lecture us on that.
Is jihad a normal word?
Don't lecture us on that.
Is jihad a normal word that you use in public discourse?
It is because of her Hindi.
Has she apologized for using the word?
I mean, you can't also speak in the language that we speak, right?
There was a sinister motive. If you look at the violence which has happened in Bengal in the last 2 years,
you actually insidiously you are part of the terrorist plots in Kashmir, and so you don't lecture us on real jihad. For Mamtadi, it was actually freedom from your misrule, freedom from your misgovernance, freedom from your
elected
atrocities against the Dalits and tribal. You actually are aligned with the terrorists in Kashmir. So don't lecture us on that, right? For you, terrorism is a political tool. You have elected a member of parliament who is a terrorist. Terrorism is an electoral tool for
in
you.
the last 8 years,
yes,
not a single blast has taken place apart from Jammu and Kashmir. Look at the UPA era where every month there was a major blast.
What about Tariq Ahmed? You given him ticket.
You had given him ticket in 2014. What about this Hussein Ali, Lashkar-e terrorist, was arrested with 3 weeks back?
Is jihad a normal word in India's public discourse now?
With the terrorist.
The word which Mamata Banerjee used against BJP, is that a normal word to be used in public discourse?
Terrorism.
Simple question, answer that.
This is
answer that.
You are
Mr.
aligned with the jihadis.
Don't shift
you
everywhere. Don't deviate from the. Are you normalizing the use of jihad against political parties?
A terrorist.
I'm asking you, are you normalizing the use of word jihad against your political opponents? Do you have an answer to that or no?
With the terrorist.
No, so then your CM should apologize.
Why you
your
have
CM
with the
should apologize because that is a sinister, the word used by her is a sinister,
you are misrepresenting her word.
And that needs to be called out right here on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Your dark days.
Okay, calmly. Let's okay.
You are being found with the terrorist in Kashmir.
Professor Manojit Mandal.
A single word on that. I'm charging. This
Professor Manojit Mandal.
Party will use terrorism as a political tool.
1 minute.
Electoral tool.
I think, this debate can go into a different direction altogether if you... 1 minute. Two in 1 minute. I don't want to debate it because it can go into a completely different direction.
Let him answer. Why their Jammu Kashmir chief is found with a Lashkar terrorist?
Oh my God. Jammu and Kashmir chief with a Lashkar terrorist.
Yes.
When did this happen? That's the news.
Oh my God. Yes.
Is this true to him?
They're factually wrong. They spread rumors. They are rumor mongers.
You are not getting my point.
If one or two anti-social elements had invaded the party, action has been taken against them. It is impossible that a party which has been founded on nationalist.
Have you taken any action?
They are flimsy.
Your Jammu Kashmir chief is allied with a terrorist elite. NIA arrested him. The people of Jammu Kashmir have caught him. You have taken action against him. What are you talking about?
Believe these people who have a vote
your
bank
party in Rajasthan, they are found with the assassins.
Who are also terrorists. You are religious democracy
illegally. You have the maximum number of migrants in Assam. You have entered
my closing comment is Droupadi Murmu ji is being become the president of the country tomorrow. I think you should extend her a congratulatory message in advance over here instead of
this is not about 1 minute
debate. Let me request him to send an advance congratulatory message to Droupadi Murmu.
Let me ask while we're at it.
Also that you spread. First you answer questions.
While we're at it, okay. While it's heated, what's your problem with Jagdeep Dhankar? Manojit, what's your problem with Jagdeep Dhankar? I'll get Manish Bariyar to respond to you. What's your problem with Jagdeep?
He stood for democracy when they tried to kill democracy.
No, I want him to respond. Yeah. Okay, Sumant, you want to take that question? Let Sumant come in. Sumant, what's the problem with Jagdeep Dhankar as a vice presidential candidate?
No, see, it's not about a question of problem or no problem. I think as far as Bengal is concerned, I think Mamata Banerjee will be quite relieved to see him go. So to that extent, I think that there will be some relief for her rather than any great anger that he is going to occupy the vice president's chair. But the point is, again, Jagdeep Dhankar over the last, ever since 2019 or thereabouts when he became the governor of West Bengal, has been a thorn in the flesh of Mamata Banerjee. That's a very open, fact that everybody has seen. So again, here we have another person who is, a governor is supposed to be completely impartial and act strictly as per the dictates of the constitution. In fact, the joke is Mr. Dhankar has been the main opposition party in West Bengal. That is the joke that goes around in Bengal circles, in political circles, saying that, there is virtually no opposition, with many of the BJP members switching sides and so on. So Mr. Dhankar has been the bulwark of the opposition. So that is the joke that has been happening. So I think you have to understand that he, again, is a person who is being placed to be not rocking the boat.
And you're not supposed to, governors are not supposed to perform their constitutional duty.
I was going to say that.
We can get into a debate as to how much of that has been constitutional.
But Subhan, you'll have to accept.
That has been as per the constitution.
Subhan, let me ask you, Subhan. Okay. Manish, 1 minute.
Manojit will tell you.
Manish, wait. No, don't get Manojit. Subhan, wait. I don't want to get Manojit because he will have a lot to say about Jagdeep Dhankar. I don't want to get him at this stage.
Wait.
No, I will get him.
Speak about
I will. I will get him in next, but I don't want to get him in right now because I don't want to get in the Bengal perspective. I want to get in the national perspective, right? Manojit is from Bengal, Sumant is from Tamil Nadu, Manish is from Bihar. Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay? When the elections happened in Bengal, there was violence in Bengal after the elections. Sumant, did anyone speak about it apart from Jagdeep Dhankar? Okay, forget about the BJP. BJP will talk about it. There was violence. Sumant, there was violence. People died. People were killed.
Was in the national media almost every single day. In fact, the TMC government and Mamata Banerjee were being pilloried for having allowed that violence to actually take place. And it was, clearly that Mr. Dhankar was actively, involved.
But isn't that his role? You can't call him a rubber stamp for that. It was his
not a rubber stamp. It's not a question of being a rubber stamp, but we can talk about the number of other decisions. In fact, Mamata Banerjee, I think at some point was even forced to take over the power of appointing chancellors and so on.
He was.
So a lot of activity which perhaps exceeded the brief. Is why there was a riotous relationship between the two of them. I think that is something that we have to accept, and it cannot all be Mamata Banerjee's fault alone. I'm not saying that she is blameless and everything is Mr. Dhankar's fault, not at all. But it takes two hands to clap, and I'm sorry, some of the responsibility for all that's been going on in Bengal in terms of the tutu meme over the last 2 years, the buck will have to stop with the government.
Yeah. Manish?
Niranjan, I wanted to take it to the larger level, this discussion, where you can see that this entire presidential race has also meant that NDA has become stronger, and the candidate herself has been able to kind of garner a lot of support
on her own
across opposition also.
On her own.
So this is something which has a national implication. And second also, I think the NDA would also have an advantage during the vice presidential election. So I think this has a larger perspective, even for a national election later on. It exposes the opposition that they cannot come up with a unified candidate. It seems that even TMC has left Mr. Sinha in the lurch, and they have not been very aggressive behind Mr. Sinha during his campaigning. Even Congress has not been campaigning that aggressively for Mr. Sinha. So that shows that
but somewhere, can I ask you, devil's advocate, Manish, devil's advocate, okay? Let me ask Kawai actually, because he's barely coming. Kawai, do you think if the NDA in the beginning, right, if they had announced Murmu and if they went to the opposition, they deputed Rajnath to speak to all the opposition leaders, or most of them. He may not have spoken to everyone, but he spoke to most of them. Do you think if Rajnath or anybody else from the BJP had spoken to everyone, do you think that they would have come around and said, okay, we will back your candidate, and we wouldn't have propped up a new one? Kawai?
No, you call it as a strategy or a master stroke. If Rajnath Singh had spoken to every ally in UPA and shared their idea to put across the person representing a tribal community to the helm of affairs, then they would have got another candidate competing with her. It would have become a murkier political race. They didn't want to do it. But rather they put across this candidate and they made UPA to react. And
but do you think they spoke to everyone in time? Because some candidates, like for example, I'm just saying, for example, Manojit Mandal and Trinamool Congress claimed that they weren't spoken to. Like, Mamata Banerjee said that if Mamata Banerjee said if we knew it was going to be Murmu, if we knew it was going to be a tribal candidate, perhaps they wouldn't have propped up Yashwant Sinha. Am I right, Manojit? Tell me if I'm wrong.
This is precisely my opening statement was. Every political party which is talking about upliftment of downtrodden and marginalized section, they don't walk the talk. And today, now, there is an opportunity.
Okay, I'll let Manojit respond to you after that. Yeah, okay. You go ahead and then Manojit will respond to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what precisely my opening remarks
there
were.
For you to see, I mean, the BJP, what is BJP?
Go ahead.
Opposition declared their candidate first, and thereafter BJP declared their candidate. So, I mean, the facts are there for you to see, and Mamta has made it clear that perhaps we would have considered, perhaps. But now it's, I mean, they're all for, history. Forget about that. We are very clear that we have chosen a very strong candidate, which is strongly backed by our party. Mr. Sinha did not need to waste time in Bengal simply because Bengal has only MLAs representing two political parties. Left and Congress here don't exist. So all the TMCs will definitely vote for their candidate, Mr. Sinha, and the BJP will do what they feel best. So that's why it's not the question of not backing Mr. Sinha. It's not leaving him in the lurch. Mr. Sinha did not need to waste his time in Bengal because the votes will, from TMC, the votes will go to him only. That's it. It's not the question of that. Again, we repeat, we are only concerned with his candidature. Right?
Okay, let me tell you, at this point,
Sorry?
it's a 9:47. Vikraman, Sumant, Manojit, Tuhin, Manish and Kovai. At this time, tomorrow we will know who the winner is, and we know who it is going to be, going purely by the arithmetic given by the official stands that parties have taken. But we'll wait for that. And I appreciate all of you for joining us on the debate this evening. Thank you very much.
Niranjan,
okay, Vikraman, 30 seconds. Go ahead, Jaldi.
Yeah.
Jaldi, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
I have a question for Kovai Satyan. He has been saying that there are parties who talk of social justice and they don't walk the talk. My question to them is, in 2017, we fielded a candidate who is Meera Kumar. She is a Dalit woman candidate. Why did the AIDMK or the BJP, who talk of social justice now, the cronies, did not support her? Why did they not support her?
Okay, I'll give Tuhin 10 seconds to respond. Tuhin, Jaldi, 10 seconds, they have to end the debate. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question once again?
Jaldi, come on. He's asking why didn't your party, he's saying why didn't your party back BJP? He's saying why didn't your party back Meera Kumar?
Yeah.
No, in 2017 we had a more deserving candidate.
Why would they?
If you
they had their own candidate, why would they support
Meera Kumar? The ruling party. When have you come across in history? Can you point out one instance in history? Can you point out one instance?
Non-starter.
No.
Vikraman, non-starter.
We have made Mr. Kovind the president, so we don't need certificate from you about strengthening the deeper sections of society. But the fact is, when in history, can you give me one instance in history when the ruling party has foregone its prerogative to choose a presidential candidate? So you should not be delusional when you make these accusations.
Vikraman,
we have always promoted, we have always stood for weaker sections of society. That is the reason we backed Dr. Kovind, and that is the reason we are backing Droupadi Murmu ji.
No.
You accept
Not at all.
Hypocrisy.
NDA got 3 opportunities. Give me 10 seconds.
We'll meet again at this point. We'll meet again 9 p.m. We'll meet again 9 p.m. Tuhin, we'll meet again 9 p.m.
3 opportunities.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. No. Everybody knows the answer to that one, Tuhin. Kovind, 1 minute. Tuhin, you don't have to. I mean, Kovind was the presidential candidate back then. Meera Kumar was the opposition candidate. Numbers were on President Kovind said. Vikraman, we'll meet again 9 p.m. tomorrow. 9 p.m. tomorrow. Manish and Manojit, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Take a short break. Stay tuned.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge. I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
Watch how 6 elephants were stranded in a man-made pond in Assam. The incident occurred at Chaibari, Lakhipur in Golpara district on Saturday. Soon after receiving the information, forest officials reached the spot and rescued all 6 elephants. Forest officials successfully pulled out all 6 elephants by creating an escape way using an excavator. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Three, two, 1, 0.
One thing became very clear, that somebody is after making us to say that we have done this crime. Now that somebody is an Indian. Maybe it is under the instructions or as a favor to somebody else from abroad, which we are yet to understand. Now who is that Indian is the question mark. '94 the case happened, '96 I was cleared by the CJM court, '98 I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was fighting the case, primarily an attempt to punish those people who have done this crime.
This man has fought a case on his own with no help, and he has fought the case right up to the Supreme Court. He has slept on the staircase of the Supreme Court. He has fought when the lawyers have left him. He has argued his own case, so much so that the Indian government for the very first time has the constitution pay him.
The centre has called for an all-party meet ahead of the monsoon session in New Delhi, and presiding officers of the two houses are scheduled to meet the floor leaders of various parties, with the meet convened by the presiding officers themselves. The opposition is scheduled to meet today to deliberate upon the vice presidentship for the upcoming vice presidential polls, to soon follow the presidential polls that are set to be held tomorrow. The Congress in Chhattisgarh is scheduled to hold a legislature party after its Panchayat Raj and Rural Development Minister T.S. Singh Deo quit the portfolio, and the party meet is to be held at the state CM's residence earlier in the day. The Ministries of External Affairs and Finance are slated to brief the floor leaders of various political parties in the parliament on the Sri Lanka situation. India had earlier assured Sri Lanka that it will continue support of democracy, stability and economic recovery in the country, which is at a crucial juncture and the unprecedented political crisis and economical turmoil.
ये बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण और निंदनीय है कि तेजस्वी यादव जी इस प्रकार की शब्दावली, मूर्ति शब्द का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं, वो भी द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी जैसे एक व्यक्ति के लिए। द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी का काफ़ी लंबा सार्वजनिक जीवन रहा है, काउंसलर से एमएलए, मंत्री राज्य में, फिर जाकर वो राज्यपाल बने। बहुत पीड़ा और सेवा के साथ जनता के बीच रही हैं वो। दूसरी बात, आदिवासी समाज से हैं और इस प्रकार की शब्दावली, मूर्ति शब्द का प्रयोग करके तेजस्वी यादव जी को गंभीर रूप से सोचना पड़ेगा कि क्या वो आदिवासी समाज की निंदा और कहीं ना कहीं अपमान नहीं कर रहे हैं। एक महिला का तो कर ही रहे हैं और एक अच्छे कैंडिडेट का तो कर ही रहे हैं, और उनका राजनीतिक वजन ऐसे शब्दावली से क्या बढ़ेगा या घटेगा?
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Three, two, 1, 0.
One thing became very clear, that somebody is after making us to say that we have done this crime. Now that somebody is an Indian. Maybe it is under the instructions or as a favor to somebody else from abroad, which we are yet to understand. Now who is that Indian is the question mark. '94 the case happened, '96 I was cleared by the CJM court, '98 I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was fighting the case, primarily an attempt to punish those people who have done this crime.
This man has fought a case on his own with no help, and he has fought the case right up to the Supreme Court. He has slept on the staircase of the Supreme Court. He has fought when the lawyers have left him. He has argued his own case, so much so that the Indian government for the very first time has the constitution pay him.
The centre has called for an all-party meet ahead of the monsoon session in New Delhi, and presiding officers of the two houses are scheduled to meet the floor leaders of various parties, with the meet convened by the presiding officers themselves. The opposition is scheduled to meet today to deliberate upon the vice presidentship for the upcoming vice presidential polls to soon follow the presidential polls that are set to be held tomorrow. The Congress in Chhattisgarh is scheduled to hold a legislature party after its Panchayat Raj and Rural Development Minister T.S. Singh Deo quit the portfolio, and the party meet is to be held at the state CM's residence earlier in the day. The Ministries of External Affairs and Finance are slated to brief the floor leaders of various political parties in the parliament on the Sri Lanka situation. India had earlier assured Sri Lanka that it will continue support of democracy, stability and economic recovery in the country, which is at a crucial juncture and the unprecedented political crisis and economical turmoil. As Pakistan's Punjab is set for the by-elections,
After Congress, now RJD insults Droupadi Murmu, Tejaswi Yadav calls NDA presidential candidate a statue. Opposition picks Margaret Alva to take on NDA's Jagdeep Dhankar for the vice presidential polls. Another big milestone for India. We've now reached 2 billion vaccine doses, the highest in the world. Terrorist target security forces in Pulwama, one assistant sub-inspector martyred in the attack. Massive anger over alleged